Okay, folks, this is not going to be one of our usual videos. It's not about cars or green energy or transportation, and just so that we're clear, for that reason, we're not going to monetize this video. But at this point, we as a team and I as company owner felt like we couldn't get back to producing the content that you come here for without making this video first. Needing to say something has become a block on our ability to focus on the job we're here for. And what I'm going to talk to you about has far-reaching implications for multiple people in our team, as well as multiple people that we collectively care about. Transport Evolved is made up of a talented and dedicated, diverse team of people who come to the table with a range of backgrounds and skills. But one thing that the majority of us have in common is the way that we belong in one way or another to the LGBTQ community. We didn't set out to be a queer and trans EV channel, but we are a channel run by queer and trans people. Which is why we need to say something about what's going on in Texas and, frankly, a lot of other places as well. For people who don't know, a bill has moved out of committee in the US state of Texas that would classify providing transgender-affirming medical care to minors, which could include the use of reversible medication to delay the irreversible onset of secondary sex characteristics, a protocol designed to give a child more time to know their own mind, as well as any number of other medical decisions typically kept between a child, their physicians and their parents, as child abuse. With the bill providing consequences up to and including removing the child from the care of their supportive parents, not to mention any number of punishments for the parents and physicians beyond the splitting up of caring, loving families. It is a cruel bill that flies in the face of decades of medical research and the lived experiences of tens of thousands of transgender and genderqueer people. And it builds on one of the darkest legacies in modern human history. Here at Transport Evolved, we care about facts. So here are a few ones that you should know to get out of the way. First, sex is far more complicated even among humans than a simple binary is something pretty much any geneticist will tell you. No one who studies the matter is content to say that humans are easily divided into two simple sexes. That's not relevant here, but it's worth saying, as is the fact that sex and gender are not the same thing. Next, people whose gender or gender expressions differ from what one might expect simply going on in their configuration of their genitals have existed in cultures all over the world and throughout history. The next point is going to piss some people off, but it's also just a historical fact. There's an idea one sees pretty frequently that trans people are somehow new. When you buy into that idea, you're literally experiencing the world through the lenses of Nazi censorship. The Institute of Sex Research in Berlin from 1919 through to 1933 did cutting-edge research on the experiences of transgender people and worked to support their inclusion in society. Some of the most famous photos of Nazi book burnings are the destruction of the Institute's library. Trans people aren't new, but the Nazis sure wanted you to think that they were, or are. But most importantly to the Texas story, however, is the heartbreaking fact that self-harm and suicide are an epidemic among transgender and gender non-conforming youth. The beautiful counterpoint, though, is that those dramatic figures fall in line with statistics of their cisgender cohorts when said youth are surrounded by supportive families and communities. So we can say, without hyperbole, that bills like the one in Texas will kill children. Given the statistics, it's not very hard to see that, as it's very objective, though I suspect its true objective is to raise money and get politicians re-elected, and to hell with who gets hurt along the way. Of course, if you followed the news, you know that Texas isn't the only state going after trans and gender non-conforming kids and adults. As of mid-March, 81 anti-trans bills had been proposed in state governments across the US. Many are similar to the bill in Texas, while others target trans and genderqueer youth and adults in different ways. Meanwhile, my birth country of the United Kingdom has been growing increasingly hostile to transgender and gender non-conforming citizens as well, with enormous barriers to healthcare access being the tip of the iceberg. It is, in fact, one of the reasons we decided to leave. There aren't words to express how this all affects the team here at Transport Evolved. Some of the team are transgender or have trans partners. Many of us are queer, and all of us are invested in the idea that LGBTQ people should be treated with love and dignity. That we've managed to continue our regular content output at all is a testament to the dedication of everyone here. It hasn't been easy, and it doesn't look like it's going to get easier. Waking up in the middle of the night and wondering if you're going to be able to stay in the place you've made your home is a regular fear that many of our team and the people we care about have. And every time we, as a queer team, make a road trip to parts of the US or fly to another part of the world, we have to double-check our plans to make sure we're not putting ourselves in danger. Being stopped by the police or needing to use the facilities in an unknown town is literally a panic-inducing experience for many on our own team, including myself. Most of the time we hide it well, and sometimes when some of you ask why we haven't gone to a specific place to cover a specific thing, it's because we wouldn't feel safe doing so, or because one wrong move could land us in jail, or worse. We're lucky. We live in liberal parts of the US, we have supportive friends and families, and we're getting on living our lives authentically. But just because we don't have those problems doesn't mean we should ignore those of our siblings in the queer world who do. As bills like the one in Texas continue to advance, we as a team will have hard decisions to make about where we go and what we feel safe doing. For instance, I can't tell you right now if I feel good about attending Fully Charged Live in Texas, especially if this bill progresses into law. I've reached out to Robert Llewellyn and the rest of the team at Fully Charged Live, and we're going to keep in close contact with one another about this. If we decide not to go, it won't be because we don't want to support Fully Charged Live. We love the entire team. But it would be that we didn't want to put money and support into a state where, save for a few decades and changed circumstances, some of the very people on our team and some of the people we care most about in the world wouldn't be here. I can tell you that we aren't going to turn Transport Evolved into a channel for queer politics because that's not our speciality. And frankly, there are a lot of fantastic YouTubers already doing that. But we aren't robots either, and sometimes honouring our humanity means we have to speak up. And to those who say it's not important or that such issues are none of your concern, by ignoring and trivialising the experience of others, you tacitly make them okay. And that's not acceptable either. So what can you do to help? Continue to raise and amplify the voices of those who are suffering at the hands of an insanely draconian and discriminatory regulation. Join a grassroots campaign and let your local elected officials, whether they be local to you or a long way away, know that you're not going to stand for this kind of backwards nonsense. We're going to link to some resources below, including a legislation tracker so you can see what bills, more than 100 at the time of filming, are being introduced across many US states. Many of them revolve around children. Some include forced genital inspections for children. Children competing in sports, and that's basically state-sponsored sexual assault. We're also going to link to some resources that you can use if you are affected by these issues personally. Some grassroots campaigns working to raise awareness and some useful resources if you would like to become a better ally. Thank you for listening. Thanks for understanding. There is a ton of exciting, cleaner, greener, safer and smarter transportation content on the way, so as always, watch this space. And remember, keep evolving.